Okay, we're doing some quotes from this book, The Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes. The main person for this session is going to be Albert Einstein. Just a couple warm-up quotes, though. Abba Eban, he said, a consensus means everybody agrees to say collectively what nobody believes individually. Yeah, that's often the case. I can tell you conventional medical consensus opinions from the experts, they're almost always BS. Just flat out lies, horse crap. Okay, drugs, drugs, drugs. Okay, next one, Meister Eckhart. He lived from 1260 to 1328. He says, love has no why. Love just loves, and it's a strong thing. That's why parents are the best people for children, because they love the kid. Even if they're stupid illiterates, they love the kid, and they'll do the best they can, and they'll come up with something better. You send them to some strange foreign expert, they'll hurt the kid and charge him money for it. Okay, Meister Eckhart, God is on sale for very reasonable prices. Yeah, religion's free, and people who are religious, they perform better in like every single area. You know, they're healthier, they're smarter, their families stay together, less likely to have substance abuse, less likely to commit suicide, less likely to be a sleaze, less likely to do other type of destructive behavior. That's been shown. Harold Koenig's done lots of research on that, etc. Okay, now the quotes for Albert Einstein. He lived from 1879 to 1955. He was a relatively good scientist. Okay, Einstein quotes, blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of truth. What we nowadays see, there's all these fake experts with all the credentials, but they're lying scumbags, you know, because you have to watch out, because basically the big power, it hates the pros, okay? You know, part of basic, simple intelligence is to recognize if somebody likes you or doesn't like you. Okay, men are often not that good at that because, you know, they can't tell if a woman likes them or not, you know. That's an important thing to be able to figure out. But in general, it's important to figure out if somebody likes you or not. And what you should go by is what they do. If they poison your water, you know, with F- and Al, that means they don't like you. It doesn't mean it's good for your teeth. It means they don't like you. And you should know that. Because, I mean, I see all these people, oh, isn't it wonderful? We get baby food for free. Yeah, it's got soy processed with hexane and high fructose corn syrup in an aluminum can with BPA, like 6 different neurotoxins. Yeah, they really like you. They're really looking out for you and your baby. Okay, so you need to know that because actions will follow from that. And the average stupid pro doesn't know that. I mean, I talk to lots of pros, and they don't know almost anything. Albert Einstein continues, if you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, then read them more fairy tales. Yeah, fairy tales are great because a fairy tale, you'll have a common sense story with familiar vocabulary like in a family context, and there'll be binary opposites, good and evil. And it's pretty easy to follow those, and they give you a lifelong source of metaphors that are valuable. Okay, the next one. Intellectuals solve problems. Geniuses prevent them. Yeah, that's another thing too. There's not enough respect for geniuses. People always think, you know, somebody's joking when they say they're a genius or somebody's a genius. No, there's a real such thing as geniuses. There's somebody's like, you know, 2 standard deviations above excellence in their field. Okay, Einstein. A clever person solves a problem, a wise person avoids it. It's kind of like a parody of the same quote. Great experts have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. Yeah, that's the way it is. When somebody's a great athlete, everybody loves them. When somebody is brilliant and doing creative work, they get a piss flood of wrath thrown against them. And the reason is the big power is making a lot of money off a system the way it is. They want to keep the healthcare system dealing drugs and selling surgeries and imaging tests exactly the way it is because it's very profitable. They could care less that the stupid pros get drugged and chopped up. No one cares about the poor pros. They're poor people, okay? Who's got money? Drug companies got money. Insurance companies got money. The pros don't have any money. Their insurance pays for it. Okay, so that's why it is the way it is. Okay, Albert Einstein, why should you try to fit in when you were born to stand out? That's a good one. The more cruel the wrong that men commit against an individual or a people, the deeper their hatred and contempt for the victim. And so what I mean by that is, if you look at any war, they always demonize the opponent. They say, oh, so-and-so in that country, he's a homicidal maniac, and he's a threat to all of us, and all our values, all we hold dear, we must go after him now before it's too late, preemptively, okay? And really, they're the aggressor, okay? But they just demonize the guy to make it okay. And what I'm saying is, what has modern society done to the proles? It basically says they have no God, they have no meaning, they're just talking monkeys. With Christianity, they're creating the image of God, and they have intrinsic value from that. They're part divine, okay? And Jesus Christus' words echo in everyone's mind, that which you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me. But once you go to atheistic Darwinism, you say they're just talking monkeys with no money, no power, no rights. And then you can do whatever you want. You can abuse them, drug them, chop them up, take all their money. It's okay under atheistic Darwinism. Might is right, okay? Survival of the fittest. That's why you don't want that, because it has no love in it. It has no kindness in it. And if you don't think that's true, then you don't understand or you're a liar, okay? Because and unfortunately, most people just don't know that. They're so sort of brain controlled by their previous joke of a public education that they don't even have common sense. They don't know who likes them or hates them. They'll vote for somebody whose goal is to Gino, Jenna, side them, okay? So that's how stupid they are. I mean, and then everybody else suffers from having so many people like that in the population that you can't get any good leadership. Okay, let's keep going here. No great discovery was ever made in science except by one who lifted his nose above the grindstone of the details and ventured on a more comprehensive vision. Yeah, and so what I'm saying is, a clever mind needs time to think. That's why they say, smart people should be underemployed. They should have time to read and think. And that's what I'm frustrated by. I can put together all kinds of complex medical stuff, but I don't have enough time to read. I do the best I can. I have a table in my bathroom. I read as much as I can in there. I listen to books all the time on the computer, and I'm always trying to read something. If I get a free minute, sometimes I'm at work and I'm waiting for my next patient, I'll read something until I have to work again. I'm always trying to soak up more information. I'll take notes in the car when I listen to an audiobook at a stoplight, so I can just keep accumulating information. Because that's what you have to do if you want to. You have to build up all the information from multiple different sources, and then you can kind of see what the truth is, and you can put it all together. And there's hardly anybody that does that. You'd be amazed if you actually think about it and start looking at it and try to discover. And a genius is somebody who transforms a field. And the only way you can transform a field is to know it well and to improve it. But you have to know it well first. Albert Einstein continues, only a free individual can make a discovery. Yeah, you need a free mind. You can't make a discovery during, enforced conformity. Like, look at Egypt. They didn't improve their art, their hieroglyphics for thousands of years because there was always some tyrannical ruler saying, do it my way or I'll kick your butt. How are you going to improve anything with that, Okay, Albert Einstein, if the facts don't fit the theory, then change the facts. Yeah, a lot of times some of the facts are wrong. So no theory is going to include all of them because some of them are wrong. Albert Einstein, everything that is really great and inspiring is created by the individual who can labor in freedom. Yeah, that's why the West created so much. That's why almost all the great scientific, artistic achievements, the vast, vast, vast majority of them came from the West, from Christianity, because man was relatively free. You go into a lot of these other countries, property was not secure. You invent something and the ruler steals it away right away. Or you'll have a philosophy, like some of that stuff, I don't know if it's Hinduism or what, with Maya, where that life is supposedly has no meaning, or the Buddha, and, that doesn't inspire the scientific method. The idea of the universe is knowable. God created it. It's rational. We can understand it. We're in the image of God. Therefore, we don't have his mind, but we have enough of a mind to understand some of the things he did. That generated the modern scientific method. Okay? And there's tons of smart people all over the world, but becoming Christian energizes them. Look at Dinesh D'Souza. Look at Vishal Mangalwadi, etc. Those are perfect examples. There's tons more of those. Okay, Einstein continues. It is important to foster individuality, for only the individual can produce new ideas. Yeah, conformists, generic trained, they don't ever do anything original. Most people never create any art. You have to really want to master a field, and then you have to want to improve it in some way and add your own touch to it. That takes intense, like a monomaniacal commitment to whatever it is. So you have to believe it. Also, atheism says life has no meaning. So if you think life has no meaning, where are you going to get the energy to work like that? Christianity says life has profound meaning, and you're supposed to serve the good in the battle between good and evil. That energizes a person. Okay, Albert Einstein. Most people say it is intellect which makes a great scientist. They are wrong. It is character. Yeah, it's that intense drive. It's a combination of some intrinsic ability, but an intense drive to do something that you think is good and special and worthwhile. Because all the pressure is to just sell out, make your money, enjoy your life, enjoy your family, and don't bother trying to do anything more than that because it takes so much time and effort to do it. And it also, I think, takes a little bit of a Dobronsky effect, theory of personality disintegration, reintegration, whereby, and a little bit like the Alfred Adler inferiority principle, where you're frustrated because you had some problems or failures, and you say, I want to redeem myself, I want to make up for it. So, like I was pissed off at myself for screwing up my wrestling career by getting injured, and I vowed to become a great scientist or doctor, and I did, okay, but it was intense work, intense. I had a kind of a lonely life from about 18 years of age to about early 30s, then I got married to my wife and then stole all my money. But that was, it was a lot of fun when the kids were young. I really enjoyed that whole phase. Okay, Albert Einstein. I am not especially clever, but I am very, very, very curious. Yeah, and that's the same way I feel. I know lots of doc friends. They got IQs similar to mine, my ballpark, but they don't care that much about learning. They want to make their money, go home, enjoy their families. You have to like want it to do all this extra work. Takes a ton of extra work. Okay, here's Einstein continuing. Combinatory play seems to be an essential feature of productive thought. Yeah, that's like Goethe. Goethe said, in order for a man to master a complex topic, he must love it. Because you have to really like it to spend all that time to get all the nuance. You're not rewarded for that. That comes out of individual time and effort. Okay? Einstein, the grand aim of science is to cover the greatest number of facts from the smallest number of theories. E equals mc squared. I once thought if I could ask God one question, I would ask how the universe began, because once I knew that, all the rest is simply equations. But as I got older, I became less concerned with how the universe began. Rather, I would want to know why he started the universe, for once I knew that answer, then I would know the purpose of my own life. The more I study science, the more I believe in God. If you can't explain it simply, then you don't know it well enough. This difficulty has baffled the sages of all times. That is, how to make teaching so emotionally potent that its influence should withstand the psychic forces of the individual. Yeah, and what I'm getting at too is schools are designed to be boring and conformist. And that's been known by a lot of people. I think it was Mises who said, the purpose of a school is not to teach creative thought. The purpose of a school is like to get your union card, to learn only what they want you to learn and to stop right there. It's not to create a genius who's going to transform things and make things better. In the med schools, colleges, pre-med programs, they make damn sure that no conventional doctor ever learns anything about nutrition, anything significant about epidemiology or toxicology. Okay? All right.